Hey there, welcome to our monthly market update for the Las Vegas area. It's Eileen and Aundrea, and we're just gonna get started with media because we had this discussion a little bit last month, and I actually had a couple of people comment saying, the media is not the problem. But I am so sorry that I beg to differ. I guess I'm not sorry, because you really have to take a lot of these things with a grain of salt that you see on the media, or find someone who has more information about what you are hearing, because we just had what I consider a fiasco here in Clark County, which is they had to actually shut down our government center because so many people bombarded their office because there has been on the news, on the radio, on social media, saying that if we did not put in that our house was owner occupied, that our taxes were going up to 8% forever. So you had a lot of scared people. I mean, that's a double jump because our property taxes here are roughly 3%. Like mine in my neighborhood is 3.28, which is a little bit higher than your average. Why? No idea. That's just the way the lines are drawn. Yeah. So, you know, if somebody had said, listen, it's always been, if you are an investor, if it is your second home, your property tax rate, I may have said interest rate at the beginning of this, I meant property taxes. Your property tax rate for those subsets of owners has been 8%. If you are an owner-occupied property, it's in the 3s. So all of this big blow up was not necessary. So yes, there was a cutoff, but that cutoff does not mean forever. That just means for that next tax rate, then it would be higher. So make sure that you have someone in your corner. I mean, we were talking a little bit beforehand. Both of our husbands reached out to us and said, did you hear about this? I mean, and we are, you know, in the industry. I had clients of mine sending it to me. So, you know, just take a breath. If you hear something about the real estate market that you're unsure of, and call one of us. Yep. And we will get you the information, even if we don't know right away, because people were sending it to me and I was like, what is the big deal? Like, it has been this way forever. So I wasn't really concerned. And then I heard that they had to shut down the government center office downtown. So please, 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 I cannot reiterate this enough. Reach out to us if you have questions. You see something questionable on the news, it just doesn't quite sit right. Reach out to us and we will give you whatever answers we can. According to our stats, we do stats in our office once a month. So according to our stats, the median home price stayed what it was when we did our last show, at $482. Last month, we had a little bit over 4,000 available properties in our market. This month, probably by the time this is released, we'll have over 5,000. So that's a big jump, I think.
I do too.
In a 1 month time frame.
Yeah.
So, and the kind of kicker to all of it is that last week there were 1,250 price reductions. What that means is that sellers whose homes have not sold within that past week have chosen to improve the pricing on their property. So if we kind of just, you know, multiply that out times 4 weeks, because we do our stats every 1 week, because so that, I mean, that's a 1 week price reduction stat. 1,250 price reductions. So if we, just take that out to a month, you're talking almost $5,000 price reductions. Maybe they were $5,000 price reductions, but I mean, you're talking
25% of the homes right now are
right.
It's kind of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so what you're seeing, what do you attribute that to?
As we talked last time, I believe we're seeing that shift. Is that the word we're calling it?
Shift. I don't know.
Transition.
Pivot. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is.
Back to normal.
Yeah.
But again, what's normal? So I think that has a lot to do with it. Is that we have in real estate, we have a lot of features and factors. The economy, rates, inflation, talk of recession. So I think all of that is embodied into why we're seeing price reductions.
Yeah, I mean, and the good news is if you're seeing price reductions, that means that these sellers want to sell. So when we don't see price reductions, it's because the sellers are like, nope, this is my bottom line. If I don't get this number, I'm not selling. And there is still, I think, some of that as well. But price reductions, in my opinion, are good. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the prices coming to a stabilized level. I think all of it, honestly, is good news.
Yeah, I do too. I think it will create more of a healthy market instead of that FOMO market where people are panicking and trying to rush. And again, like they say, is when you're pushed into a corner or you're stressed out, that's when you make bad decisions.
Yeah, and we are right now kind of on the cusp of coming out of like a balanced market into a buyer's market. So the good news again is, if 6 months ago you were pulling your hair out because not only could you not find a house that you wanted, but the house that you did like was overpriced, and the house that you did like had 30 offers on it, and people were offering $20,000, $100,000 cash over whatever the list price was, this is your time. It is time for you to kind of crawl back out of the covers that you buried your head in, and get to looking again. There's a lot more inventory. I have had offers come through on my listings that buyers are asking for closing costs.
Yay!
What? I mean, that has not happened in a couple of years.
Yes.
So we are headed into a normal market. Normal means good.
Yes.
Normal means stable. Normal means healthy. That is all great news. So I'm excited about this market.
Too.
Yeah.
And have you heard that cute saying that's going around, marry the house, date the rate?
I have not heard that.
Oh my God, it is the cutest little thing. And I'm like, that is really a great little saying, because it's true. People are in this market, that's one of the fears, is rates are higher. But again, if you find that house, know that you can refinance, you can strategize. There are other options.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a cute little thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, part of why you really do have to look at speaking to professionals, because I hadn't heard that, but it totally makes sense because you're not locked in. You can refinance. If you buy this house, and let's just say 6 months from now, the rates are lower. You have that option to refi so that your payment can come down. And who doesn't want that?
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, but you have options.
Yeah.
You are not stuck. But you have an asset that now you can use to write off on your taxes. You have that, security of owning a home that in this country we've seen is only going to appreciate. Yeah, we have a little bit of downturn sometimes, but we are not headed into a housing crisis.
Right, yeah.
I think that's kind of the message that we really do want to get across. Yes, may we correct on pricing? We probably should a little bit. But is there going to be a crash? I do not see that.
I don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all news is good news as far as real estate is concerned, in my point of view. Yeah, it's just how you approach it, how you handle it, and ultimately what your goals are with it.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's where it goes back to getting with professional like yourself, mapping out what that looks like, getting with a loan professional, mapping out what those goals are, and collectively putting a plan together.
Yep.
You know, so the thing that we've been doing lately is consulting our clients. What is your 5-year plan? And sometimes people look at you because you're buying a house today. Okay, that's great, but what about 5 years? We have to incorporate that in your goals.
Right.
And, you know, 5 years goes by in a blink. So
right. I mean, and that's even what I was telling my clients when all of the, price hikes were kind of going on was, okay, you can pay whatever you want, but if you come back to me in 3 years and say, hey, Eileen, I want to sell this house, are you going to be mad at me that I let you pay over, for this home? So it's not making the decision for you. It's giving you the information so that you can make an informed decision for yourself, for your family, and your long-term goals. So for a little bit of context, I wanted to kind of go, what's the way back machine, the time machine that takes us back, into the past.
Back to the future.
Yes, to the past.
That's not Back to the Future.
Yeah, no, if we had that, we would be like multi-bazillionaires if we knew what was happening
Can
next.
we find that, please?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're gonna go back a little bit, and I want Aundrea to give you a little bit of perspective on kind of where we were pre-pandemic, not pricing necessarily, but interest rates, so that you can just kind of see, because I mean, just from living through this pandemic, those were not typical times.
Right.
So, so yes, interest rates were also not typical.
Right.
And they kind of matched the times.
Yes.
So pre-pandemic, what were we looking at as far as interest rates?
So prior to pandemic, using 2019 as kind of a guide, average rates were in the 4s.
Okay.
So on a 30-year mortgage, you'd be looking at about 4%, which, again, you and I discussed before, is an amazing interest rate. I would take that all day long.
Right.
Today, post-pandemic, and with what's going on in the economy, we're about in the low 6s.
Okay.
Now, that's nationwide. Obviously, a home loan's unique, just like you and I, and one size does not fit all.
Right.
So what that person gets and that person gets are different. But average, so we're about 2% difference. But like you just said, is that the rates correlated to what was going on in the economy and the market. I mean, our country was shut down, yet real estate was booming, which if you try to process that in your head, you go, how is that even possible when people were staying home? But again, it's relative to what was going on.
Right. Okay, so with that kind of fluctuation in the rate, pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, what does that kind of equate to as far as a payment?
Given some kind of general numbers, if we're looking at $200,000, it's about a $200 to $240 a month difference in payment. In most situations, that may not be significant, but in the buyer price points under $400,000, going from a payment here and increasing to $200, now we don't qualify.
Right.
So there are pros and cons with that, unfortunately, and it has made some of our buyers not eligible to buy any longer.
Okay. So I know at times you have that option to buy down as a buyer the interest rate.
Correct.
Is that still available to buyers?
It always has been.
Okay.
So in real estate world, mortgage world, we call that paying points. And we usually will talk about buying down points to buy down the rate from market rate. And that's always been an option, so that never went away. During pandemic, you didn't need to.
Right.
The rates were so dang low, no one needed to. Today, people are exploring what that looks like, is taking the extra cash that they don't need to pay for the overpriced house, and using it to buy down the interest rate from the market value.
Okay. All right, and then we were discussing a little bit earlier a seller buy down. Can you explain what that strategy looks like?
Right. So what that would look like is let's say your seller wants to sell for 400,000 and it's sitting on the market. So for you as an agent, obviously you don't want to reduce the price.
Right.
They don't want to reduce the price. The buyer wants you to reduce the price, but another alternative would be, let's say they were looking at a $5,000 buy down or price reduction.
Yeah.
Instead of lowering the price to $395, taking the $5,000 and giving it to the buyer as a concession so they can buy down their interest rate.
Okay. So in essence, it's considered kind of like a closing cost credit, but instead of taking it toward like their title and escrow fees, you're actually putting it toward their loan so that their monthly payment is less money out of their pocket every month. So, I mean, there are so many creative ways to get deals done. All right, so we have come to the rapid fire part of our show. So do we think interest rates are going up, going down, or staying the same?
Why aren't you answering?
I'm letting you answer because I couldn't tell you.
You have to answer.
All right, I'm going this way. I let her answer first. Okay, so do you think we are in a buyer's market, seller's market, or balanced? I think we are in a buyer's market.
How are you supposed to do that with your...
I don't know.
Okay. I think we're heading towards a balanced market.
Okay.
I don't know if we'll ever get to a buy. I don't know. I don't know if we'll
All
get
right.
to that buyer's market. Just there's not enough inventory to.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as median home price, do you think we're going up, going down, or staying the same? I think we're going down because I see the inventory just kind of sitting.
Right.
And with all the price reductions that are happening, I don't think we're going down a lot.
10% maybe?
I don't even think
No,
that much.
not that much? Oh,
No.
so it's
no.
negligible.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is negligible. But I do see, I don't think we'll be at 482 next
Okay.
month. All right, we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Okay, well, I thank you so much for joining us and for giving us your time. It really does mean a lot to us that you trust us as your chosen professionals. And we will see you next month on the Las Vegas Real Estate Market Update.